I'm not gonna be like the girls and be exchanging words with you.
Yeah.
We'll go talk about it during debrief. So during debrief, I was like, listen, I got 4 points to tell you. Number one, your girl was only within 5 minutes of our first conversation. And number two, I told her she doesn't love you and she didn't agree or disagree with it. Number three, on the outside, I would have your girls in ways you can't imagine. And
carry on. Number four. Number four.
You know, he was crying that night. And everyone thought he was crying because, you people thought he was crying.
He was crying when he was outside the villa. And
he was crying because of the movie, the way he saw the movie. And I know he was crying because of what I told him.
What?
Yeah.
Ooh, that makes sense.
Makes a lot more sense.
He was crying because of everything I told him.
Why
not
did
because
they play that?
I wish they played
early in the morning.
What's going on, the people? It's your boy Cam, Topical Juice, and we are back with another Love Island related video. Honestly, guys, I actually can't wait for the show to end, so then we ain't got to talk about it until summer. This video is about Martin, Love Island Martin. Martin was recently on the podcast. He basically is on there and he's explaining the unseen bits, exposing certain bits of the villa, the producers, and he kind of exposes Tanya in it as well. But not only that, he talks about the real reason why Shaq was upset and why he was crying. Now guys, I'm a little bit torn. On the one hand, I believe him because he's speaking his truth, and we saw the way Tanya acted after she came back into the villa, etc, etc. So I've got no reason not to believe what he's saying is true, if I'm being honest. He was coming across very assertive, very sure of himself. But on the other side, Donnie's just coming across a bit bitter, innit? You know what I'm saying? Donnie's just coming across a little bit angry, a bit bitter. And he was very, very annoyed that he got embarrassed on live television. I just felt like, I don't know. Listen, as I said, I kind of believe what he's saying, to be fair. I just think he was just a bit salty. There's ways of speaking your truth with a bit more humility, you know what I'm saying? But that being said, he was humble with certain things as well, like his respect for Kai and things like that. So listen, it is what it is, man. I'm just here to report the news, you know what I'm saying? Don't shoot the messenger, guys. Yeah, you get me? So anyway, let's get straight into this video, man. Like the video for me, hit the bell to be notified for me. Please press that subscribe button for me. All my new subscribers, I appreciate every single one of y'all. Hopefully you stay for the long term, for the journey. We're gonna grow this platform big time this year. I believe that. Yeah, merchandise in the description below. So Martin's interview here basically starts by talking, again, most of it's all about Tanya, bro. The whole thing's about Tanya. I mean, I get that was his experience, but his whole interview was literally about Tanya from start to finish. Luckily, I watched that on ×2 playback, you get me? Initially, he starts talking about how Tanya was all over him from the get-go. Now, his main beef with Tanya and everything else is that she was a liar, essentially. She lied to Shaq, she lied to the villa about kind of what had gone on. So ultimately, he took it upon himself to tell the truth of what went on in the villa, right? So he explains that she was all over him from the start, and he also explains that he didn't really know how to move because he was very conscious and aware of all the cameras that were on him. And this is what makes me think here, he's not as real as he makes out. Now, listen, I actually like Martin. I got no problem with Martin. He actually gains some respect from me from this interview, from just some of his opinions in it, like on Kai and stuff. But he actually says in the interview, listen, because I was so aware of the cameras on me, I didn't really know how to move or how to act. So it came across as he was kind of standoffish. It kind of came across that he wasn't interested in Tanya, but he was interested in Tanya, even though I think he went in for Tanyel. And I think he even said something about potentially going for Olivia. So he's got a different type, initially, or not type, but he was definitely going for some other demographics first, and then he kind of went for Tanya. I think that's how I interpret it anyway, I can't remember what he said. But Tanya, because she was a seasoned veteran in there, she was basically showing him what to do, how to move, and, you know, make sure you're standing here in the dressing room, just giving him tips and stuff to how to navigate the villa with the cameras and all that stuff. So, but at the end of the day, if you're genuine and being real, you don't need to overthink too much about what's going on. You just kind of, you do what you do in it, and you are who you are. You get me? So yeah, me personally, cameras or not, I'm still gonna move how I move, you know what I'm saying? But I understand though, at the same time, there's a lot of cameras that can kind of throw you off your mojo or whatnot. He actually exposed the producers are the ones that tell you to go to the kitchen if you want to kiss, basically. Do you remember when Platypus asked Maxwell to go to the kitchen? We all said, that seemed so planned. And it came across that Liv knew exactly what she was doing when she went to the kitchen with Maxwell. Because the producers actually told them, you have to go to the kitchen if you want to have a kiss. So Liv is such a game player, yeah. She's so cheeky that she had the audacity to have a go at Kai and have all these fake one-liners for them viral moments that she never got. You know, now she's back in England, I'm sure she realizes that the public don't really like this girl. So it's just fascinating that she had all this vim for Kai, when in reality, she had really planned and prepared to kiss Maxwell when she even asked him to the kitchen, because that's what you do in the kitchen. So wow, very interesting. again, the producers are so controlling though. That's what's so mad. They really control a lot, and he does expose that. Now he actually says in this interview that he said to Tanya before the recoupling, "I do not want to be a test." Again, we didn't actually see that, but he said to Tanya off camera, or maybe even on camera, but it didn't get aired, "I don't want to be a speed bump in your relationship. If you take me back, I want you to be all in, basically." And she agreed. Now, this is where I think his expectations were all skewed, and this is the kind of entitlement that Martin has, right? I understand his logic. You don't want to be a speed bump in someone else's relationship, but when it's only been 3 days, yeah, and she's been with Shaq for weeks, they've exchanged love bombs, they've actually been intimate and had intercourse and all these things. You can't expect the girl's feelings to switch off, despite how she acted towards you and how flirty she was and how much she wanted to kiss you. She's still gonna have certain emotions towards Shaq. So I felt like you have to understand everyone's gonna be a test in there. Everyone's testing themselves, and that's what you were actually brought in for. I felt like he managed his expectations all wrong there, but apparently he said, "Listen, I don't even want to go back if I'm just gonna be a test. I'd rather go home." And I do kind of rate that about him again. That's what I would. I mean, I wouldn't put that ultimatum on her. But if I felt disrespected like Shaq was, I would have just gone home, innit? You know what I'm saying? I got too much pride. But she basically says, "No, it's fine. I want to get to know you, etc., etc." And he even told her, "Listen, you know Shaq's not going to recouple, right?" So he actually allegedly, honestly said to Tanya, "Shaq is not going to recouple." And I can't actually remember what he said her response was to that, but I think she was just cool with it and kind of preparing for it type thing. Now, apparently closer to recoupling time, or when they re-enter the villa or whatever, she was getting very nervous. She had written 2 speeches, one if Shaq recouples and one if Shaq doesn't recouple. Now, as it's getting very, very close to the recoupling time, she actually runs him through the speech. In the speech that she previews to him, she says the words are something about speed bump. And it's clear that she was getting agitated and nervous before going back into the villa. Apparently he was upset about that. Very, very upset. But he couldn't actually express his grievances because the producer says, "Yo, it's you guys' turn. You're going in," because they were last and they had been there for 5 hours apparently. Apparently the whole process took about 5 hours. It was a long thing. Obviously the way they edit it is boom, real speedy, but apparently it was a long day. But just as he's about to express his grievances, they then go back into the villa. And that's why he had a face like a slapped ass. And that's why when Maya asked Martin whether you were like, what your feelings are, he just ad-libbed it. He just off the cuff said, "I'm just happy to be here," because he felt mugged off and embarrassed by Tanya. The speech that she gave at the recoupling, I can't even remember exactly what I said in my video, but I didn't even think that was that bad. Her speech on the stage, that was really muggins. Do you know what I'm saying? He really got mugged off then. But the speech in the recoupling wasn't that bad, but he had a face like a slapped ass. And again, this is his pride, this is his entitlement, this is his ego. You know what I'm saying? All he could focus on was his reputation and how he got mugged off in front of Maya Jama, basically, which I thought was kind of funny. He didn't even remember what he said. He just felt mugged off, basically. And he exposes the girls because all the girls were consoling Shaq. They were saying, "Oh, I'm sorry," giving him hugs and embracing him. But not one of them said to Tanya, like, "What are you doing? This is wrong. This is like whatever." They actually encouraged Tanya. And again, we knew this about the girls. The girls are extremely hypocritical and they can't hold any of themselves accountable. It's really, it's a poor look. So that makes perfect sense. The girls were absolutely mute in Casa Amor when Tanya was doing all these things, but then consoling Shaq and rah, rah, rah. But then again, I suppose they know Shaq and is what it is. But if you think it's consolation worthy, then maybe you should say that to Tanya as well. I don't know. That's what I think anyway. But these girls, we know what they're on. Now Martin actually gives credit to Kai, because Kai is a real friend, and he actually categorically, I quote, said he is real. Now again, I've been saying this. Kai is real, and everyone's validated that. By the way, everyone who's left the villa has confirmed that he's a real guy, and especially Martin. Kai apparently took him to the side and said, "Listen, Shaq's my boy. I don't really F with you, innit?" Kai didn't even talk to Martin for the first 2 days. And the two hosts, or the woman in the podcast was like, "No, I think that's petty, that ain't petty. That's called trill." So Kai, being the real friend he is, basically pulled, he didn't even air Martin like slyly. He actually pulled Martin and said, "Listen, we ain't dogs." Kai, MVP, man, that's MVP level of trillness, 100%. And Martin even said that he's real for that. Martin gave him respect for that. So that's what I rate about Martin. He's not like too kind of butthurt and taking things personal. He just says, "Listen, it is what it is, no problem." He explains that the producers put Martin in the very same bed that Shaq and Tanya had been doing the business in. Because when he opened his drawer, there was just loads of broken Johnny packets. They had been getting busy, not just in Hideaway. They were getting busy everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, there was loads of broken Johnny packets everywhere, and Shaq's name was still on the bed. Like when we're talking about graves still being warm, body still being warm, that Shaq's body was still piping hot, blood still going through the veins when they put Martin in his bed, you know what I'm saying? He brings up the movie night beef. Now this is the main kind of thing that's gone viral-ish on social media. This ties in with the real reason why Shaq was allegedly crying, right? We didn't get to see this in movie night, but Martin's clip did get shown. Now I'm assuming Lana's clip did get shown as well, but we never got to see that. But Martin's clip that got shown was the 2-star, 5-star comment. He actually said that he felt bad about that at the time. So when he made that comment in Casa Amor later in the day, he actually said to Tanya, sorry about that comment. Like, I thought that was kind of unnecessary, which I do rate for that. But Tanya was like, no, it's absolutely fine. And I don't think the comment was that bad, to be honest. But I think he was just tired of being compared to Shaq, because we saw Tanya do it a lot. She constantly compared Martin and Shaq, constantly, and it was a terrible look. It honestly, it was frustrating the hell out of me with Tanya at the time. All she could do was bring Shaq up to Martin to compare them and talk about them and badmouth their relationship and things like that. When Shaq saw that 2-star, 5-star comment in the villa, he actually said something like, I might be 2-star, but I got your girl back, or something like that. Like, he said something quite snappy. And that was the only kind of beef they had, because on the whole they actually respected each other-ish and they had a decent enough relationship. They didn't really have no friction, but it was in that moment where they had a little bit of friction. And that's where we get to the clip that I played at the start of this video, right? Now he basically says, I'll be honest with you, with his accent and that, with his half Nigerian, half Dublin accent, I had no idea what he said in that point number one. I had no idea what he said. I think he just said something about, when he said that within the first 5 minutes, I'm assuming someone translate for me, but I think he said something like, I think he was alluding to something like, your girl was onto me within the first 5 minutes, basically. That's what I think, I don't know. Someone correct me. The second point he makes is that he told Tanya, you don't love Shaq. And she didn't really agree or disagree with it. Did that get shown? I do low-key remember that conversation. Her response wasn't really adequate, but maybe we didn't see that. And then the third point he makes is that, listen, if this was the outside, I would have been drilling your gal, literally, in ways that you can't imagine, or something like that. Now, I think that's rude and disgusting. Me personally, I would have laid you out flat then and there. He's talking about, he didn't actually say this on camera. This was in the brief. In Love Island, everything's not on camera. They take the mics off and they actually chill and talk to each other outside, you know, of that, and they have like briefs and things like that. So that's what he's saying. He's saying he spoke to Shaq in the brief and he said these 3 things, right? That level of kind of, I don't know, entitlement and arrogance, I would have had to slap you at least, 100%. And then I'm going straight for Tanya. Obviously not physical. I'm just be like, yo, Tanya, what is all this? Like, my man's telling me this, and this. He allegedly cried for that. Now, that would make sense. If that's the case, yeah, the producers are very cheeky and sly for the way they edited that. Because that was always gonna come across that Tanya made Shaq cry. Now, if we're being real here, Tanya did make Shaq cry, just via Martin. Let's be real here. It was her actions that ultimately made Martin tell Shaq, and that's what made Shaq cry. But if it was actually Martin telling Shaq all this information that made him upset, then that's so sly from the producers, and they really are nasty, nasty people to kind of shape a narrative like that and play it like that. But you saying, free, I could have been beating your girl in ways you don't imagine. How dare you talk to me like that, bro? So the interviewer's like, so do you think Shaq's playing a game then? And he's going, well, everyone's playing a game. You know what I'm saying? Because on the outside, he probably wouldn't take that. In fact, he said there's no way Shaq would take that on the outside. But in the villa, if you don't kiss and make up, you go home. Understand? And I do actually appreciate that, because that's exactly what I said about Sammy and Jesse. Now we always knew Jesse was going to take my man back, but Sammy said if this was the outside, you would have been blocked. But ultimately, it's a game at the end of the day, and that's the point he makes. It's a game. You can't win the game single, so you have to. And he does say that Shaq was airing Tanya for a good 2-3 days, straight up avoiding her. You know what I'm saying? Wasn't talking to her. He was hurt. He was saying it's done. That he ended up folding as soon as Tanya gave him a bit of attention back. You know what I'm saying? He actually talks about the night that she went downstairs. He knew where she was going, and it was playing on his mind a lot. He actually knew she was going downstairs to see Shaq, because she got up one time and went to the toilet, and because the toilet was on the left, and that made sense. She got up again, and Kai was already in the toilet, so she didn't go left. She ended up going downstairs. And she kept going downstairs apparently multiple times, not just once. She went downstairs twice, maybe even 3 times. So he knew, he even heard someone else say, where does she keep going? Right? And he knew that. Like he had because Martin is not a dumb individual. He's not. He is sharp. The same way he knew Tanya was pulling back, the same way he knew Tanya wasn't giving her 100% in him when they got back to the villa, the same way he knew something was off. Like, he knew that she was going downstairs for a reason. He actually gave her the opportunity to be honest, and she lied. or she just basically was just blasé about it. It's actually so funny. Her response was so funny. He basically knew that she kept going downstairs a lot. He confronted her and said, "You went downstairs 3 times last night." Gave her the opportunity to say something, and she goes, "Did I? Okay." I mean, come on, Tanya. If you're gonna lie, yeah, or omit the truth, you have to have a prepared statement, darling. You just saying, "Did I? Okay." That's not gonna run. And he actually quoted that. Like, he quoted that multiple times. So that's exactly what she said. I believe him when she said, like, when he said that. He quoted because it's one of the things that you remember. He just goes, "Okay, did I? Okay." So that's quite funny. And that proves what I was saying in my videos, that she was trying to gaslight the guy. Like, she had opportunities to actually be honest, and she didn't. Now, before her speech that mugged Martin off, he actually said to her, "Listen, it's clear you like Shaq. Just go back to him." Again, we didn't see this, but I've got no reason to not believe him. These are some of the things that you don't say if you're not telling the truth. I believe him that he said that. So he said, "Listen, it's clear you like the man. Just go back to him." And she allegedly got pissed off at this. She was like, "No, I told you, I'm just trying to get to know you and trying to get to know him as well." So apparently she got annoyed at that, which is obviously her kind of stubborn nature coming out when it's clear that she liked Shaq more from the moment they got back into the villa and she was distant. But again, she can't be honest. I was saying for so many times, Tanya, just grow some balls and say how you really feel. She said "I love you" to Shaq prematurely when she didn't really mean it. Yeah, she might think she means it now, but at the time she definitely didn't. And you know, she had ample opportunities to tell Martin how she really felt, and she didn't. You know what I'm saying? And he kind of validates that way of thinking. And again, I'm over this, by the way. I'm not even slandering Tanya. I'm just telling you the facts. I'm telling you what it is. I've moved on from Ron moving mad. I've moved on from Kai moving mad. I've moved on from Tom moving mad, so I can move on from Tanya moving mad still. I can forgive them all, but I'm not gonna forget still. They then have the breakup conversation, and that's when we see him say, "Listen, like, I was gonna break up with you anyway." Obviously, that was his pride, his bruised ego. You get me? And she then does the speech and mugs off. My man, the producers, they did the little stir in the pot thing. They went up to Martin and said, "You gonna have that?" They actually said, "Are you gonna have that?" That's literally like the memes. Wouldn't let that shit happen to me though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't have that. Boy, like, what are you gonna do about this? Obviously the producers wanna, you know what I'm saying, stirring the pot because Martin's head was hot. That's where he said, F it, I'm gonna cause some drama tonight. And the producers were like, "Yeah, you know what I'm saying, let's do that." Again, the producers, all they care about is views, all they care about is drama, entertainment. Like, it's crazy, you know, it's crazy. But that's where he said, "Listen, like, I'm gonna cause some drama tonight, blah, 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 blah." So, yeah, ultimately, guys, I've got no reason not to believe him with a lot of the things he's saying. I just think that some of the time in his video, he was coming across as very salty, very bitter. Like, I feel like you can tell these stories without disrespecting Shaq, but at the end of the day, they asked him, "Are you going to be friends with Tanya?" He said, "No, no way." Like, categorically, I would never be friends with her, you know what I'm saying? And that's fair enough. So, it is what it is, man. I don't know if you guys have seen the interview, but make sure you check it out. I'll probably leave it in the description below. But yeah, man, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts. Like, comment, subscribe. What the hell do I know, man? I'm just a man in his 20s. Peace.